Hello. The hue and cry around the Global Hunger Index report seems to have settled after grabbing a few days limelight. The report on the well-being of people around the globe has put India in a poor 107th position out of 121 countries. Last year, we were 6 positions higher at 101. Not only that, it placed us below our neighboring countries, Nepal, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. Even Pakistan is ahead of us. Opposition booed at the government. The government issued a statement considering the report as wrong, based on wrong assumptions and yet another international conspiracy to malign the nation's image. Last year also this was the same picture. At that time we also had World Democracy Ranking, Press Freedom Index and World Happiness Index. In all three, India was marked pathetic. Now it has been a practice for some time. Some international agency or NGO puts out a report and our government refutes it. And everybody moves on. It's like a win-win situation. But counting hunger is different. It's based on objective data. It can be verified. So let's do that. Welcome to the Money Tree. Why is India placed below the neighbors in the Global Hunger Index, even below the financially failed state of Sri Lanka? Also Pakistan, which is said to be heading the same way. Sri Lanka is at 64 and Pakistan at 99. Afghanistan is the only neighboring state below us, that too just 2 positions down, 109. To begin with, the hunger index is not exactly the count of how many are hungry or how many will die without food. It's different and more complex. Let's go deeper. But before that, let me tell you that the Global Hunger Index is a study led by 2 international NGOs, Concern Worldwide and Welthunger-. They are based in Switzerland and Germany respectively. Both have a history of more than half a decade and are working in various countries for the eradication of poverty. The World Hunger Index is calculated under 4 parameters: undernourishment, child stunning, child wasting and child mortality. Undernourishment means insufficient calorie intake. People may be getting food, but it is poor in calorie content, which poses various health challenges. Child stunning means children doesn't have enough height as per their age. This is caused by chronic undernutrition. Maybe they are getting food, maybe they are not, but definitely they are not getting enough nutritious food. In the index, the age of the children is taken as below 5 years. Child wasting is about weight. Children of below 5 years of age who don't have enough weight as per their height. Here too, the quality of food is in question. And finally, child mortality. Number of children who die before reaching their 5th birthday. Reason: the fatal mix of undernutrition and unhealthy living conditions. Undernourishment of the total population and child mortality contributes 1/3 each to the index score, while child wasting and child stunning constitute 1/6 each of the score. Now I want to bring in India government's rebuttal statement of the hunger index. Health of children cannot be the representation of the entire population, it claims. But the whole world marks these indicators. Why is that? Because children are supposed to be the most taken care of and their status gives you the highest positive picture of a society. But there are other indicators also that also deal with the well-being of kids, like infant mortality, institutional births, maternity mortality, etc. And if India indeed has objections, it should develop alternative methods and provide data for the entire population to prove its point. But unfortunately, India doesn't have such an index. The press statement has some major claims also. One is the additional distribution of 5 kilos of rice or wheat per person per month, free of cost. It started during the pandemic and is still continuing. Under Anganwadi services, since the pandemic, supplementary nutrition was provided to 7.71 crore children below 6 years of age. More food grains to needy families were also provided. 5,000 rupees each on the birth of first child is also given by the government. And these claims are true. But what if they are not enough for a catastrophe like COVID? Remember the year 2020. The mass exodus, the huge job loss, the devastation of Indian economy. Indian economy performed the worst with more than 6% negative growth in GDP. Our neighbors were better than us at that time too. In fact, even the high priest of the financial world, the World Bank, had hinted this. Its recent report said that India contributed 79% to the world's new extremely poor people during pandemic in 2020. India till date hasn't reacted to it. And from where did the hunger index guys get their data? They are actually using India's official data. Yes, the official data of Indian government is from the National Family Health Survey. They got data for child wasting, which is not enough weight, and for child stunting, which is not enough height. Have a look at the government's press statement of the last May about this. Child wasting, according to the government, is at 19.3%, which unfortunately is world's highest, and the child stunting is at 35.5%. The Global Hunger Index had said exactly the same. And for child mortality, the official data is 41.9 deaths per 1,000 live births, which is 4.19%. But the hunger index has put the score at 3.3%, which is way better than our own data. In short, the government by its rebuttal is contradicting its own data. What an absurd situation. That leaves us with the fourth parameter, undernourishment. This is the only data India can really dispute about. The index used the Food and Agriculture Organization survey to say that 16.3% of India is undernourished. India objects to it, saying that it was based on a small sample size of 3,000. Fair point. But what is our own assessment about the undernourishment? Sorry, India doesn't have any such data. In fact, our government doesn't like data, it seems. Remember the controversy around National Sample Survey for the 2017-18, which was junked? Because it had shown that for the first time in 4 decades, the real household expenditure has fallen. Things didn't end there. From then onwards, our government has never attempted any other survey to find out the household income and expenditure levels. We seem to become a nation that's scared of data collection. Meanwhile, many international agencies have been pointing out the slow progress India is making in child welfare. Take the case of UNICEF. It maps India among the countries where more than 40% of the children live in severe food poverty. Before ending the story, let me show a sunny side for India in the hunger report. India was making progress, but the situation became bad not by its own fault. The report attributes global conditions like climate extremes, war and pandemic-induced economic crisis as reasons which have affected many other countries also. But then how did our little insignificant neighbors move ahead, humiliating us? Maybe not because we didn't do bad, but they did better. Just like what our finance minister is thinking about the status of our rupee. A few months before it was a rumor, then a slight possibility, and now international financial institutions have confirmed it. World is moving into a recession. Attempting to arrest the skyrocketing inflation has improved its possibility manyfold. But now, we are going in for another global oil price shock. Last week, major oil-producing nations favored price over stability and announced production cuts next month. This, coupled with European energy sanctions on Russia kicking in this December, the anticipated surge in crude prices is likely to be hell on wheels. Higher fuel prices affecting consumption and demand, plus rising interest rates stocking financial bankruptcies and economic losses. This will be a deadly combination. The joint impact is too dreadful to imagine for the households world over. This artificial hike in fuel prices has happened many times in the history, and most of the times it was followed by political upheavals. India witnessed it first in the oil shock of 1970s, when oil prices jumped from $3.2 to $11.5 a barrel between December 1973 and 1974. It was that time when we witnessed huge uprising, then emergency, and then the change in power. And as the world is once more into a financial turmoil, it's time for many to keep their fingers crossed. While good words are said about India by the international financial institutions, that enthusiasm is missing in their growth predictions. After the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund has now cut down India's growth forecast for the next financial year to 6.8%, from 8.2 in April and 7.4 in July. This is for India alone, as it has kept global growth prospects unchanged at 3.2%. The IMF's downward revision for India since April 2022 after the Russia-Ukraine war is maximum at 1.4 basis points now, while for the whole world it's 0.4 points, and for advanced economies it's 0.9, and for emerging economies except India it's 0.1. Earlier, the World Bank had cut India's growth from 8% to 6.5% in the same period. Meanwhile, the Reserve Bank of India is optimistic. It has cut India's growth by a mere 0.5%, from 7.5 to 7 during the same period. The government's banker points out higher GST collection, crossing 1.4 lakh crore in all the 7 months of this financial year, as one of the reasons for its optimism. But the IMF says it has cut India's growth prospects due to 2 reasons: weaker than expected outturn in the second quarter, and 2, more subdued external demand. It seems that IMF is closer to reality, because the rise in GST collection is a hyped one. It's partially due to high inflation and partially due to surge in imports driven by the higher commodity prices. And the bad news is not over. A weak monsoon causing drought-like situation in several major grain-producing states, followed by heavy downpour in the months of September and October, have caused extensive damage to crops, adding to our worries. Tough days are ahead, it seems. That's all from us for now. We leave you here. Till we meet again. Goodbye. Before we part, I request you to be part of our journey by subscribing the channel. Thank you.